23rd. What's up, everybody? This is Semper with BRT. We're doing weekly recaps, finding my way with Toad. He's gonna be jumping into some of the trades that he took this week. We're jumping more into the structure and how it's structure of price action and how it's helping him improve his strategy that he's using in combination with structure. The cool thing about structure is that you don't need any indicator. Um, other than just being able to read the structure on the chart that you have in front of you. When you combine it with any strategy, it makes it that more powerful, or your level is that more stronger if you're using fibs, moving average, support and demand, resistance zones. That's all. If you combine it with it, it's just gonna help you sharpen your tools and keep you in, help you identify a better trade or a stronger trade. There might be a stronger move off that level as well. As always, the longer time frame charts always have more weight than the intraday charts. So if a weekly level comes into play or a daily level comes into play, those levels are going to be stronger. So meaning that a reversal might happen around that level. A bigger pop than normal might happen at a weekly or a daily level. If you do monthlies, there might be even a bigger pop or a reversal off of that level. So just keep that in the back of your head. That way you're coming up to stronger or longer time frame levels, they're gonna have a little bit bigger reactions, or they should. So you just have pay attention. One of the biggest tips that I give new traders is look for the candle development when it's coming up to your level. And like I told Toad last week, the break of structure should be your first signal to get in a to potentially get in a trade, right? Once
Hmm.
the structure is broken, then that's your first signal to start looking at your levels that you have so you can look for a potential entry into a trade. And if that level stacks up with the structure, then that level is going to be that much stronger. Uh, so without further ado, let's get into Toad's recaps.
Let's get it. I got the first one here. The structure was huge. Um, I told you, I've been looking at markets a while, but really still kind of new. I mean, 1 year. I think new beginners like anybody less than 3 years. But it seems like you're saying you don't need an indicator, and structure matters like kind of above all. I feel so. I really appreciated the lesson last week, and I took this series here. You should check this out. I got I think you're gonna like it. So I got structure lines here, and just because I was like trying it out, you know what I mean? Like for the first time I drew a structure on all four of my charts. I got the 5 on the top left, um 2 on the right, 1 on the bottom left, and 15 on the bottom right. um which I actually changed this. It's gonna look different in some, but anyway, so I got the structure line, kind of an aggressive one on the 5 minute. I got 1 on the 2, 1 on the 15, just kind of watching where I think they are.
Yep.
Um, but primarily, right, because of what you showed me last week, I'm looking at the 1 minute structure. So I'm looking at this, I'm waiting for this to break. I'm looking for a short here. We haven't. All right, so I look for the red first tag and the green first tag for a bounce. Red being the 30, green being the 65. And we already got the first tag for the red. So now I'm kind of looking for a structure break counter trend down to the green, where ideally that I could go long. Or at least we'll see. I mean, this was 4 days ago. So this is what I should be looking for. Uh is still respecting that this green should be longing. So let's see exactly what I did. I know I drew my structure lines, and then I see the break of structure here, and then I fib this out. I got this nice, cute little Ninja Trader fib that gives me just the golden pocket zones. So I'm fibbing the bottom of the structure. I'm fibbing the pullback. I'm waiting for us to get into the 50 after we break structure. I see on my 5 minute chart. Um, and I don't, I took notes, but I'm not looking at these right now. So I'm kind of thinking about this in the moment here as well. I see a 5 minute bear hammer, still kind of in line to break a structure. I'm drawing a fib. Yeah, I put a fishing order at the top of the golden pocket of the current structure break fib,
Yep.
right? So you can kind of see the anchor here, but I don't have the 0 and 100 line. I don't
Yeah.
actually use this fib anymore. I just thought it was cool. Um, because ideally you'd see, 0, 100. So I got a fishing order there, just over halfway up this kind of red ignition candle along the wick of the 5 minute bear hammer. I get in here. I've got some buy stops. I got layered buy stops. I don't know if this was intentional right now. Oh yeah, because I got in one at the bottom of the pocket and one at the top.
Yeah, so I
Um,
put out your eight and you had your ATM on, right? So that's why I
that's
put
right.
out two. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to
That yeah.
combine them, if you want to combine them, you would drag the order over above the other order and it'll put it into one.
Okay, awesome. That's good to know.
You know
Yeah,
what
I
I'm saying?
think I do actually. Just drag it or do I have to hold control or anything?
No, you just grab the order and drag it up to the top.
Sick.
If you want the order your stop to be at the top one, then you would get the bottom one and drag it up and make sure it's at the same spot and it'll just combine it.
Awesome. I'll do that. And there's one thing we talked about last week was that actually, you told me in chat, I remember now, is that if this is my trade here, I see the break of structure that my stop should be a hard open close above the level.
Yep.
Um, and one thing I'm working on, and another significant level you got here is this orange line, this awesome, this free indicator from Ninja. It gives you the high of the day, and then there's a purple line for the middle and whatever. So also I've got high of yesterday, the previous day here, some resistance.
Yep.
Structure break right around that, looking pretty good. You got the 10 SMA loop, perhaps, I don't know. And
Well,
then
you that the tennissimate loop, you gotta be so the sooner it happens in the move, the stronger it is, right? This looks like it's at the top of a move. So
mhm,
10 SMA loop might end up being uh the lower high. Like like right here, it might have been the
yeah,
lower high to the next leg down to go down to the 50 SMA or the 100 EMA.
that makes sense.
But you have it always has to be in context. Like I said earlier, if the 50 SMA and the 100 EMA have not gotten tags yet, then then looking for a top action would be better, right? Then if they already got a tag, then it's just gonna do a 10 SMA loop up. If it already has the 50 SMA or the 100 EMA tags. Know what I'm saying?
Okay, I do. It already
So
has
you
the
just got to
tag.
be yeah, if it's already had the tag, then the there's two things where the 10 SMA loop occurs, if it's in the middle of the move up or if it's at
Hmm.
the top of the move, right?
Yeah.
So it's always in context. If it's at the top of the move, is there a longer time frame resistance? Like you said there, the high of yesterday's day, which is
Hmm.
a good resistance, because it's a daily level, right?
Right.
So that level might have bigger resistance. And then see how the 10 SMA or that short-term moving average that you have right there is kind of cresting to
Yeah.
move down.
This one
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is the 10. Yep.
Yeah, so it would be cresting to go down, and that's what you want to see around your higher level resistance.
Hmm. Yeah.
Whether if you would have seen that play down here, like right here, oops, yeah, right there, right here.
This one.
Yeah, like it still would have looped up to hit that level and then dumped down later.
Yeah,
Know what I'm saying?
I
But
do.
over here, it's good. Over here is good because you already hit this resistance, hit it again.
All right.
And
Yeah.
now you're like, okay, it already hit it three times and it couldn't get over it on the third time. So now I can look for a lower high for a potential
Hmm.
down. And I mean, the market can do whatever it wants, right? But the
Yeah.
likelihood of it busting out on the fourth time is a lot less if it didn't do it on the first three times.
Right.
But yeah, continue,
Makes sense to
please.
me. Will do. Yeah, I was really see, where was I? We got into these trades here with the ATMs. One stop right above this candle, kind of
Yep.
layered stops here above the high. I'm experimenting between, I think, really small size on hard open close. I might try around here.
Mhm.
One thing I like to, at the moment, I've kind of fiddled between, for me, I see three options. I see like the hard open close, the most lenient stop. I see a level stop, which is kind of like this top one here. It's fairly
Yep.
lenient, but it gives it plenty of room. And then I see a paper cut stop, which just sure as fuck wasn't a paper cut stop because our volatility is so big, but
Yeah.
I'm only in two. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm playing around with that and we'll see where I go with it. But here I've got both kind of a layered
Yeah,
ones.
and it's good just to know the differences, right? Because a hard open close above that line, above your high, the daily high, that might
Mhm.
put you more than you can tolerate.
Oh, well, yeah, crazy high because just this stop here is 60 points
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah.
So hard open close could easily bring me to
Yeah,
100
100
points
points. That's a
on
thousand
two
bucks,
micros.
or
Yeah.
that's $500.
Yeah, for real. Like it'd be nuts. So,
Uh,
so I've got these out and I got in this short right on the pocket. Let's see what the next one brings. Okay, so I added because I was feeling a little aggressive, I suppose. I added with a tight stop right above. Oh yeah, I see. So I'm a big on the 2 minute chart. Uh the 2 minute toad. Don't make the joke. I'm big on the 2 minute chart. I see the bear hammer coming in, and I'm like, I'll add with an aggressive add right above this bear hammer. So I do that, and because I do that, I put a target. I put a conservative target just in case it doesn't make a lower low. Um, Next slide here looks like my ad actually got stopped out, and what it got stopped out right at this level. I re-add into it apparently here, and then what it flushes down into the first target, and I think right here, because here's something I get in between a lot is like, what do you think about this sequence right here? This adding on the bearish structure back test. Do you think the add was okay, but the stop was too tight? Do you think the
yeah.
stop and the add were fine, and that yeah, that's what you
The
mainly think?
the stop it was too tight for that other ad. Like, why would you have it tighter than your other stops if you're adding, right?
You're right, yeah, because the answer to that I know that just is because I would have been uncomfortable with all of those stops all the way up there. But if I was uncomfortable
You
with
would
that, I
have,
shouldn't
yeah,
have done it.
you should have
I shouldn't
added.
have done. I shouldn't have added if I was uncomfortable with all the stops being so high.
Yep,
Because the stops need to be where they need to be,
yep.
regardless of how I feel.
Don't, yeah, exactly. Don't, because I mean, if that would have blew off the top, it would have blew your account probably.
It would have been pretty nasty. It would have been four for a total of what the hundreds, like a 30-ish, and about a 30 point on four. Yeah, I mean
It would have
it
been
wouldn't
like
have
six,
blown it,
seven
but it
hundred
would have
bucks.
yeah, it would have been like $600. Yeah. Yeah, that was too aggressive considering the volatility. I shouldn't have even added. I was
You should
comfortable
have
with the
just let
two.
it. You should have just like, okay, let it play out. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen.
Yep. Yep, because my original stop didn't even get hit. It did respect this 1 minute candle here that made a
Yep.
lower low that broke the structure. So, okay. And noting that, um, and those are exactly the things like intellectually trading is not easy, but it's way harder emotionally. So this is something I should cut out here
Yeah, the emotions is probably by far the hardest thing to get over
for
because
real.
even as an intermediate or advanced trader, you still get the emotions. But you'll notice that when you can trade with no emotions, you're way more calmer through the whole process.
Yeah,
Whether if you run, we came up with a new acronym. It's called RECT. You know,
correct.
REKT. You know, rush entries, kill trades. Because when you get into a trade rushed, right away you start panicking. Right away. Especially right now where you get in and you're red $300 like instantly, you're already starting to panic. And that's with micros, right? You're
Yeah.
fucking red 200 to 300, $150 to $300 with two micros, and you're like, what the fuck? And you're already panicking. You're like, it's gonna come back, it's gonna come back, and then you're like, I'm gonna add. Let me see. You're just
Hmm.
adding to the pain. That's all you're doing. Just let it play out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know deep down, it's kind of funny. It's like I feel like a lot of us know the truth deep down, right? It's whether or not, and I know that sometimes I add because I want to believe that it's going to work, and that adding is aligned with the conviction that I want, even if it's not aligned with reality. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's
Yes, sir.
like if you're on a freaking if you're on the highway and you want to, you're like, oh, I don't want to crash, and you're like, I won't crash. I'm gonna speed up.
Yep.
You know? So okay. All right, I'm going to be paying more attention to that.
It looked
Um,
like it hit down your target, so I don't know. Maybe.
yeah, so it did. So I hit my conservative target. I'm not upset that I had a conservative target. I think I'm working on my intuition, but it hit the conservative target. I started trailing my stop. On my positions, I'm usually trailing 2 minute candles, unless the candle's gigantic. I try to trail it all the way to the top of the candle. Um, See, I'm doing that, trailing it. It hit that first target. I think I didn't have a target here. Yeah, I know what happened. 2 minute, 2 minute chart closed the candle, and if a 2 minute chart closes the candle, especially on, remember, I look for bounces at this red line, first
Yep.
tag. So 2 minute candle closed right on that red line. I took one there. I got the second one down to the green on the 2 minute. Um, and then this one, oh yeah, so here's a mistake. Like I said 5 slides ago, I should be looking to get down to this green, but here I am, perhaps getting a little greedy, or maybe I'm like, it could flush. I wasn't writing my thoughts at the exact moment, which I
But
should do. But
follow the
um,
structure, right? Follow the structure with the moving averages. So follow it back down. If it breaks this structure, you're shooting for this structure. If it breaks that structure, you're shooting for that structure. If it breaks that structure, you're shooting for this structure.
oh wait a second. So I'm not shooting for the highs. I thought on structure back test you're supposed to shoot for the highs, not the low of the structure.
If you're going down, if you're going up, right? If you're going up, you want that to be support.
Oh,
Know what I'm saying?
okay.
Know what I'm
Okay. I
saying?
thought you were supposed to
But
go
if
for
you're
the
coming
top.
down, if you're coming down from up here, say it's a lower high, right? And you get in like right here at the white line at the break of it,
Hmm.
then you're shooting for the bottom of it, right?
Okay.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's going up, like right here, and you see this structure hold on this side of it, it could create a higher low off of it to go up.
Yeah. That
Am I
makes sense.
confusing you or no?
No, no, you're not confusing me. The only thing I'm thinking is, and maybe it's too conservative, but I'm thinking if this structure could hold for a higher low, then shouldn't I have targets here in case that happens, or should I wait until we get there and see if it
Yeah,
starts holding?
I would wait until like
So
I look.
you'd have your hard target here,
Yep,
and then you'd be watching here.
yep,
Roger that.
exactly. You're on alert, right? You're on alert because it could bounce, but it can do this. It hit that thing, create a lower high off because this is your break of structure, right? The white line.
Hmm.
So it can break it, right? So you know it broke structure from over here somewhere, right? But it can catch this one. If it catches that one, then you want to see a lower high off of your broken structure right here
Yeah.
to go down to get this. Especially if it has no wick, if this candle has no wick, You're eyeing that.
Mm. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you talked about that just a few weeks ago.
You're
These
eyeing
no
the no
wick
wick,
candles.
because it's too perfect. So it needs to have liquidity in there to
Hmm.
take them out, right? And
Okay.
it lines up with the moving average, whatever that white dotted line is.
50, 50s.
So see how it lines up? That's your
Yeah,
target. That's like bullseye right there. And then if it breaks it, then you're just looking for the continuation
down to this one.
to, down to
Being on
that one.
alert here.
Yep.
On alert here. Look at this. Okay.
Because there's
Oh,
no structure. So you're looking at previous history to tell you the future.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because look at this structure right here, this whole line right here, this whole fucking line.
yeah.
You're looking for it can hold right here, or it can hold right here, and it can hold way down here, right? That's what you're targeting, but it can hold the tops.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Target these, keep an eye on these. Keep an eye. That's where the that's where the bull reinforcements should be. They should be right
Mm,
here. But if they get
hmm.
taken out, then this might get taken out.
Awesome.
And then you're just looking for the no wicks. Okay, the no wicks or big candles. Big candles like down here. There's no action. There's an imbalance right here. There's an imbalance there. There's an imbalance there. But if you see wicks into it, that means that imbalance got taken out. So that's no longer valid.
Okay. That's good. All right, cool. I'm gonna rewatch this and take notes. This is perfect. I go from the structure break to the actual structure targets. That's great.
Yep.
It's
So
great. Just
you're like
MAs
it's
and
like
structure.
you're playing a game of war, right? So you gotta see, okay, I know they got reinforcements here. And if it breaks that, then they're a little bit weaker. And then if it breaks that, this structure right, let's just say, where's a cleaner one? This one right here, up here, right? If it breaks that, that's where the reinforcement should be,
Hmm.
right? So if this level over here, when it's coming down, let me clear all this shit up. Right here, when it's coming down and it breaks this structure, so it's gonna come back, hit your moving average, create a lower high to go attack the next structure down here. Right? But look, it caught it right here. Or it could potentially catch it right here.
Right.
Boom. Not saying that it's going to reverse right there because it can hit that and then create a lower high to attack the
Right.
next. Just keep an eye on it. Just be
Yeah.
cognizant of what can happen. Because sometimes the legs that have no structure, you got to look past it.
No structure.
Like
Oh,
earlier,
past it.
like it just had easy had one like right here, right? There's no structure like right here
Hmm.
that can stop
Yeah,
it,
it's just
right?
a
There's no
grind.
structure. It's just a grind up. So then you gotta squish the chart down or look at a bigger time frame to see if there's a structure right here that this can potentially be resistance.
Okay, that makes sense. And that's on 18,100. If I look over at my 15 chart, kinda. And one other thing I actually remember now why my target was down here, and you can let me know if these things is valid. This is based on stuff you were saying, and this is a crazy target, but NQs, it's been crazy nowadays.
Yeah.
Is actually this no tag 5 minute, but I don't know if this
Yep.
is valid.
Yeah.
It's all the way from pre-market 7:30. It's a tiny candle. This is still valid.
Yeah.
It's a
Any.
split, no
Yep.
tag.
And it's a
Okay.
no wick.
And it's a no wick. Yeah, this one no wick. This one no GP and full split.
Yep.
Cool.
And
I don't think
and
it got
and
there, but
but okay, yeah, it's valid, but be wary down here. Because you gotta go. Remember, I always say go by levels, right? You gotta go
go
by
by
levels.
levels.
Layer, fair, go there. You got moving averages too. So you got this as support, and then you got this moving average as support.
Yeah. Okay.
So just you want to see speed through those candles. You don't want to see bounces off those candles. I'm saying so just be careful. Not saying that you can't have your targets there, but okay, target here, right here on this side, because you're on this side, right? Because you're targeting this side, but you're targeting this side of price action, this
Hmm.
side, right?
Yeah,
But this side can be support,
makes sense.
can be, not is going to be, but
Right.
can be.
Right. Okay. That's what I'll start
So
doing around there.
I would adjust your targets to the bottom of these.
Let me write this
Right here.
stuff down. Let me write actually note that because that's exactly what I can do here is yeah, target the lower structure, target the lower end of the structure, right? But then as soon as it hits the upper end,
Yep,
right, be wary of where my stop is because I'm trailing my stops, of course.
yep.
So as soon as it hits the lower structure, maybe immediately move my stop to a good spot because all right, do you expect it to flush the structure? Like how do you deal with it, right? So you're on watch here. You're
Yep.
alert. You're looking frosty here, right? And
Uh, uh,
then
And
it
I had a trade like that earlier this week.
yeah,
And I'll show it later, but it couldn't break structure. And honestly, I called it out as a top step scamming me because I was the bar, say it was like right here, right? This white line is my entry. And this is something that you guys gotta be keep an eye on because my entry was that blue line and there was a candle that was above my blue line. I was like, what? But my P&L said negative 20 or $30, negative $40. They would have fluctuated. And I was like, what? But the candle's above it. So I should be green, right? It should be green 30, $50, not red. And I was like, what the fuck? Next thing you know, I was green and then I was really green because the candle was way above it and it showed green. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then a candle like this showed up. And I was like, oh, I'm
mm,
gonna get scammed. I'm gonna get scammed. I could have got out at that point. I could have got out uh green $130.
okay,
But then I hit my stop at $550.
okay,
And I'll walk you through that trade later when you're done. But yeah,
yeah,
you gotta be cognizant because that level, you gotta be alert that right here, right? Say it hits this level right here. You're in a
yeah,
trade short you're in a trade short and it hits that level, it can easily create a higher high right here. I mean, a higher low,
yes,
and then reclaim your white structure line and then go up against you.
yes, okay,
And that's why you gotta pay attention to these levels. I'll be like, okay, it reclaimed it. Now I either gotta get out green or I know that I'm gonna get stopped out.
okay,
And
makes
if you
sense to
have a
me.
cushion, if you have a cushion, if you already had a green trade, you might want to stop out green, right? Or let it stop you out, right? If you had a cushion, you might want to let it stop you out. If this is your first trade, you might want to close it green. And those are all things that you got to be processing. Okay, I already have green. How much profits do I want to risk? Do I want to give profits back? If you don't, you might want to stop. You might want to think about stopping out. But if it's your first trade, you might want to stop out green, right?
Okay,
So
yeah,
just be that it's something that can stop you from ending in a red trade.
yeah,
But it's just paying attention to the candle development around those structure levels.
hmm, okay,
And it's something that might signify that it might create a higher low right here is this big green candle, right?
yeah.
Because
I
during
do know that about structure.
that big green candle can tell you, okay, this line might have a lot of buyers right here. Because why? Because a lot of buyers came in right there. right? So it could reverse and continue going up right here.
Hmm.
But if there was a big red candle right here, if this was a big red candle, if like it was coming down like this, and that was a big red candle, that was going down like this, then you should be okay. That should be your confirmation that you should see speed through your levels.
Makes sense to me.
Know what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay, perfect. I don't want to
I do.
confuse you. If any of this is confusing you or anything, let me know. But,
No, it's making good sense. I'm just thinking in practice, right? So if this green target, because the reason this target was here is because I just placed it on this for my 2 minute. Now
and
if
that's
I placed it
perfect.
lower, yeah, but now if I placed it lower, I'm thinking in practice, like maybe on this doji at the bottom of the structure, at the bottom of this candle,
Yep,
is that if I placed it lower, right, and then let's say we shoot down to here, down to the 200.
yep.
18,200 and we're touching the top. I'm thinking, does that mean I should immediately pull my trail stop way closer? Or once we're there, do I need to keep giving it room? I figure I would pull it closer pretty tight and look for it to wash the level, not wait around any BS that happens.
And that's all depending on
But
what you
we'll
want to
see.
let it breathe. Either let it
Yeah,
breathe or stop you out, reevaluate, and get back in.
yeah, yeah, and that I've got to. I mean, it'll come out in the wash, I guess. On days that I let it breathe, it can work, and on days that I've held it tight, it's like
And that's
it'll come
honestly, that's
out.
all gonna come with the experience, bro. Because
Yeah,
when you see the candles, be like, oh, okay, I could give this one room to breathe. You're like, and then, oh, these candles are too big, whatever. I gotta give it a tight stop.
right. That
So
makes sense.
it's all gonna come with the experience and what you're comfortable with.
Hmm.
But that
Okay.
screen time, you gotta keep getting that screen time and watching those candles develop
Yeah.
into your levels.
Yeah.
Can't
All
stress
right.
that much. Watch the candles develop because it's either gonna hit and get sucked back up, or it's gonna hit and stay glued to the bottom. And remember, the last 10 to maybe 20 seconds of the 1 minute candle, it's gonna reveal itself. The last 1 minute to a minute and a half on the 5 minute candle is gonna reveal itself. Most of the
Makes
time, it's
sense.
unless like right now where Trump puts out a tweet and it totally reverses that candle. There's nothing you can do about that. But when Trump is not in office or not tweeting, the candles have normal action. And that's why I said earlier this week, if we can make it out of this turbulent, high volatility price action, you're gonna be that much better later, bro. You're gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
that much way better. It's gonna be moving slower to you. Like this action is gonna be like super ultra speed, right? But once it slows back down to normal speed, you're gonna be that much better.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is a nice little fire to get through. And I was doing pretty good. I don't know if we're there yet, right? In finding my way, I can slow down, right? But I had one funded that I activated, and then I got two there. Messed one up on a freaking trade, thinking I was trading sim, trading the account, I guess note to the wise, preaching to the choir, make sure you're looking at your settings.
Yep.
So I think, and I've been doing pretty well on the one here. Just a lot of green, one red day, mostly green. So I'm like, I think if I can go ahead and get tempered by the fire here, I think I'm pretty excited for the market to go back to normal. But either way, I'll go ahead and on to the next slide.
Cool. Good trade.
Uh, got down here, took that, yeah, took one right here. I think I had I do layered stops. All right, so I trail one a little looser than the other. So the one got stopped out right here for a trail stop, which might have been too tight. I'm not too sure. Yeah, it was too tight. Um, where were we? Where did that get stopped? That almost looks like a whole new day. Where did my, that's weird. Is it like, oh, I remember what happened. I was mirroring NQ to MNQ, which I'm going to change now. I'm going to stop doing that because my MNQ got just barely ticked out, right? And the NQ did not come anywhere close. It was this candle right here.
Yep.
This 1 minute candle on NQ did not come above here, but on MNQ it launched above that candle, got up to the 50 SMA and stopped out my actual accounts. Um, but on NQ it didn't even touch the 50 SMA. You see what I mean? You see that?
Yeah, the
This
NQ. That's the NQ and then that's the MNQ.
Yeah, it went 20, MAQ went 20 points higher than NQ. So anyway, I didn't re-enter on my actual account. I just played it because I've got a sim NQ with the actual accounts following. So once I saw that my actual accounts got stopped out, I did not re-enter or anything like that. I'm glad about that. Maybe I should have, but that comes with more experience. But I didn't want to chase while I was already up 100 points. So the rest of this is pure sim. It was being mirrored to an account, but since that happened, the rest of this is sim. I didn't re-enter on the real accounts. I'm just trailing at this point, the two that I have left. I got a trail on the 2 minute candle and then a trail on the 5 minute. I hit that target here. This is the 150, right? Because this is the fibs golden pocket here, and this is the 132 to 1618. All right, so you got this 1618 at the bottom of this blue zone. So this is like the 1.5 pocket, 2.5 pocket. So I took one here in the 1.5 pocket, which is actually at the top of structure here. It's on this green line as planned. But then, oh, here, this is exactly what we were talking about. And here's kind of a live, almost live example. It got down here to the top end of the structure and then immediately flushed. There was no pump back up. So we were just talking about that, and I said I'm thinking about how it could be actionable. So as soon as I get to the top of structure, I should trail my stop way tighter because here's an example of it working out for the better.
Yep.
That once it got to the top, there was no bounce. There was nothing. There was some wicking. It didn't reclaim any of this, and it just flushed, and it made a split on the five
See, like
with
right there
no
is a good
wick
example of attaching your moving average or your trail stop to the 10 SMA and then offset it.
by plus 2 ticks, right?
Or 2 or 4. I always do two or
Two or
four.
four, 2 or 4, not 50.
I see no matter what, no matter when that trail stop hits, you're gonna be green.
Yes,
But I
100%.
usually don't attach it to a moving average unless it's obviously above my entry or
Yeah.
below your entry right here in the short. Uh,
Mhm.
and when it hits my first target.
Right.
So your first target was way up here, right?
Uh-huh. Way
Way
up
up
here.
here. Yeah. And even then, look, no 10 SMA tag,
Nothing.
no 10, and even on this target, no 10 SMA tag. You
Yeah.
could have just trailed it with 4 offset and you would have just
Hmm.
rode it. And sometimes your target hits before the 10 SMA. Like this one would have been a perfect example.
Yeah.
And there's
I one
sometimes where
time.
it'll hit and stop
Hmm.
you out and let it go. You're green, bruh. You're
Yeah, let it
green.
go. Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty good at it's the reds that psychologically I've got a problem with. I just who's good at losing? Not a lot of people are good at losing
Well, not
gracefully.
only that, but
Um,
men have a harder time being wrong or
yeah,
hate being wrong, and they
yeah,
hang on to the losers. That used to be me. When you
yeah, man.
figure that shit out, you're gonna
Yeah.
be on the better side.
Yeah, it's hard, I'm a Tiger Zodiac, bro. Right? That
Yeah,
is tough. And I'm a Cancer Western astrology for any astrology listener, any
yeah.
astrology people listening to the YouTube. I'm emotional.
No?
No, but really, really, though, I am actually pretty easily frustrated. So that's something that even through a year of trading, it's one of my longest. I've known him since I was 6 or 7. He said, for as long as I've known you, you can't stand losing.
Yep.
You want to win no matter what you're doing. So I'm working on that still. But yeah, I'm pretty good at walking away from greens. So, and I remember one thing you're talking about the trail is I remember you saying at some point you're like uh you're like just inst try you said this, I don't remember in what context, but you said try just moving your stop closer. Right? He's like maybe don't if you think it's going to go further, don't close. Just move up your trail stop.
Yep.
So I'm going to try that. I'll attach it to the 10. I'm going to try that some more. But on this one, I think, like I said, I mean, I was fully ready to hold all of this in my actual account, which is a shame because I would have been up $300 on an MNQ, risking only 60,
Yeah.
which would have been awesome. But I didn't. And this is actually the last slide I've got of this whole one. So I think it actually came up and just hit my trail stop here. So we made it pretty much to the bottom of the structure here. I wish I had the next slide to see exactly what happened.
Yeah, next
Um,
time, like I said, next time target the bottom
yeah,
of this on the flip side.
yeah. I'm
Because you're
actually
going
gonna
from offense to defense, right? Or you're going from defense to offense.
10, 50, going from defense to offense. That makes sense because their defense was crushed. So now you're trying to
Yep.
get it down to the bottom. You're on
Now you're on
offense.
offense. You're attacking their side.
I'm gonna check just real quick what happened on my trading view. That was April 8th, 10:57 EST. Because I should have taken a picture. So 10:57. Oh yeah, it just kept going. April 8th, 10:57. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, all right. So I had I coincidentally, yeah, I remember this now. This is why I was so this was like the first trade I took actually after your structure lesson. This was the first trade I took, and using 1 minute structure actually caught me the high of day. Um, and I was ready to just keep trailing it, probably take one out. Well, I was going for this as my final target. We absolutely crushed that final target. That was right here. So I
But
got in here and targeting here and using your structure lesson caught the actual high of the day. So that's
and
why I was pretty happy about that.
see how these two structures kind of overlap? Because that one goes up to here, right?
Mhm.
But also almost comes back down to it.
Yeah.
Look at what happens. A little speed bump.
Uh-huh. Oh, here. Okay. Yeah,
You know
that
what I'm
makes
saying? A little
sense.
speed bump because you got this as right now it was as support, right? So it
Yeah.
broke through it and then it caught the bottom as support. Because remember, it's always
Hmm.
going to catch the top, but if it breaks that, then it can catch the bottom. And then look, it caught the bottom of that support and then it bounced back up to this structure.
Aha, yes. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So now you're looking at it as once you get the hang of seeing the structure, you're going to, because you got to see past it, right? Because there's really no structure here on this leg, right? On the way down.
Yeah.
So this is the only structure you have.
Yeah.
So if you go back to it, look at where it resists
Hmm.
right here. Boom. But look at
Yeah.
what it caught. It caught this.
I caught the bottom of the structure. Oh, the target. Yeah.
Yeah, it caught that. But then it bounced back up to this resistance.
Yeah.
And you want to see that. Like if you miss this leg, you'd be like, okay, I'm waiting for a lower high off of here, off of this structure.
Hmm.
Waiting for a lower high because this wasn't taken out. See how this wasn't taken out?
So
But
this
it
was
came
not
up to
taken
it.
out. Yeah.
It
Uh-huh. It
came
came
up
close.
to it. And it's kind of like the shy, right? Well, I need reinforcements. I don't think we're strong enough to take out this. So let me get reinforcements. Where? After we take out this, because we already took that out. So our reinforcements short should be right here.
Right.
And now we're gonna take it out. Boom. and then you get one more last chance to completely take it out.
Hmm. Yeah, we got all the way back here, came back to back test it. We made a little bit of a lower low, came back to back test this structure here, the
Yep,
50% of this candle, and then just flush down to this structure.
yep.
So that's cool. Yeah. I mean,
I
okay.
mean, other
Yeah, we
people
got
might
all
see the
this.
structure differently than I am, but that's the way that I'm using it. That's the way that it's helped me.
Yeah.
And something that Brandon said that kind of like I had that aha moment was don't get in until the structure breaks and then look for the confirmation.
That's
And that con
exactly what I was thinking.
and that confirmation is a higher low if it's going long, right? It's a higher low off the 10 SMA, a higher low off the VWAP, a higher low off the 50 SMA, a
Hmm.
higher low off of 50 GP tag.
Hmm.
Because that it's the break of structure is that signal. Okay, we could potentially. So then you start looking. What does the RSI look like? What does a MACD look like?
Hmm.
Those are all little indicators to start looking. And then if everything aligns, if all the stars align, then take your fucking trade.
Right.
You, like honestly, you should have a checklist. Okay, break of structure, check. Okay, we have a retest of my level, check. RSI looks good, check. MACD looks
Right.
good, check.
Test
I'm
RSI, man.
taking it. Take the
Yeah.
fucking trade. Is
Yeah.
it gonna work out 100% of the time? No, nothing works out 100% of the time. Nothing. But having that trust in that strategy, that system, that, hey, I'm gonna get in at this level, I'm gonna stop out here, and I'm gonna target this.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna be cognizant. And then you gotta be like, okay, I gotta look for traps. Where can I get trapped, right? Where can it catch support? Okay, it can catch support right here,
Hmm.
right? Because it could have easily caught support right there. Went like this, caught like that, and went up.
Right.
Right? So you're looking for those traps. Where can I look for a trap? I can look for a trap here. I can look for a trap here. I can look for a trap here. I can look for a trap here.
Hmm.
And then down here too, right?
But at least looking for the middle of the zone,
Yep.
trying to get onto offense, going to the bottom.
Yep.
That's It makes a whole lot of sense. Watching the dojis, it's a lot of stuff to watch, but that's okay. Just
It
gotta
is.
you gotta prioritize.
Yeah, dojis, gaps, floaters, high range candles. High
Dojis,
range
gaps.
candles, right? The high range candles are like these candles that are way abnormal than any other candle. So that's your first, okay, we got a big buyer candle here. We got a little bit of structure here. That could be the first higher low, right? Because it
Right.
can continue going up like this, right? So the first thing you want to see is, okay, let's take out this big green candle first. So you would want, if you want to go short, you want to get that, you want to see that structure taken out and then retest it
Right.
to continue going down. Because then you got no big green candles. Oh, perfect. The bears, we should melt through these little soldiers, right? This is like a squad of buyers. This is like a platoon. A platoon is like 50 deep, right? This is probably like 9, 12 deep.
All right, this is nothing. Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why, is it easier to take out a battalion or easier to take out a squad? Like it's easier to take out this little squad right here. Let's take them out.
Definitely.
But if you're going up a big against a big thing, just be aware that a move can happen at that point.
Right. So definitely always be aware of structure. Don't get scared of it.
Yep.
Stay frosty,
And
as
take a
all of
trade
your
at your
military
levels.
friends might say.
Take a trade at your levels when they line up with structure. You'll have way more confluence and validity of that level.
Okay, cool. We'll do. Got these noted down. I'm gonna make a checklist of priorities. Um, that sounds good.
Yep. should always have rules. Definitely have rules in your. If you're
Yeah,
new, have them printed out, right? Because you need to drill those rules into your head. If
right.
there's no structure break, I'm not taking a trade. If there's no catalyst, if there's no volume, I'm not taking a trade. If I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I'm not taking a trade. If I'm stressed out, I'm not taking a trade. If I'm mad about something, I'm not taking a trade. You
Hmm.
gotta definitely be clear-headed. 'Cause if not, you just those. If you're not clear-headed, you're gonna the emotions can take over a lot easier than if you are clear-headed and focused.
Right.
So
Makes
just avoid
sense.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll go ahead and I'm gonna jump into another one here, but first
Let's do it.
I'm gonna put a note here, reminder to make my priority checklist. Because I've always had one in my head, and I tried a checklist. Because I've been learning this for about a year now. I tried a
Yep.
checklist, and then I'm just like, this thing is too strict. It's too like, oh, I'm missing one thing on my checklist, so I can't trade. But that's for a priority checklist. That's how it should be. So
Well, not only that, but
I
let's
should,
say you have five check marks that, or check boxes, or seven, whatever it is.
yeah,
Whenever you have majority vote, right? 50%
yeah,
or more check boxes, then you have to take that trade.
right.
But if you have two check boxes and you're like, oh yeah, I should probably just wait for another one or wait
Hmm.
for the next setup.
Hmm.
Hey,
Cool.
Semper,
What's up?
could you repeat again the point that you made about the squadron and the battalion? Just like the size of the um,
I'll
you
pull
know,
this back up.
Yeah,
yeah,
so let's say a big ass candle has like 100 buyers, right?
yeah,
These little candles got like 10 buyers each or whatever. It's a lot easier to take these out than
Yeah.
because look at what happens at this one, right? We get a bounce,
yeah,
right? But these ones, look at right here. What happens? They're bigger red candles because the bears can easily take out a smaller green candle.
the little candles, yeah, right. So with the small
Oh, makes
candles,
sense.
with the big handles, um, they're not taken out as easily,
No, they're not taken out, and moves can happen. A
right?
pop, a counter scalp. You can take a counter scalp here.
Right, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a full body closed green versus just a wick and generally reds.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you'll notice that like wherever there's big green candles, if you open up a live chart, you'll see like, oh, okay, there's a big green candle there. There was probably a move or a dump because
Hmm.
the bears got smoked or the bulls got smoked.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm telling you, like usually at these big green candles, there'll be a split candle. Look at what I told you. It'll create a split candle and then pay attention. If it can't create a higher low right here, then look for the body of that candle as your direction, right?
Hmm.
If it breaks above the body there, it'll probably create a higher low, a lower high up here somewhere,
Hmm.
right? But if it breaks right there, then take it down.
Yeah.
Or if you got in right here, then you know if it breaks the body below that green body, then you know you're good to go to this moving average or the next structure down here.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Lasagna, were you in military? Were you,
No.
were you? Oh, okay. You love. I noticed in a couple meetings. It seems like you like the
Analogies.
yeah, the war and army analogies.
Yeah, I do like them. They do make sense to me. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I like it
they do. I think it's a good way of thinking about that.
for
I was
sure.
very. I'm gonna try to start doing that.
Yep.
I'm gonna hop into one I took today. Here's like a slightly different style one that I took, and I know I was late, but I wanted to take it to show 'cause it was all is this was pure sim. I'm not going to take a late entry live. But I wanted to take it to see what we thought here. And this was I was specifically late. You got the two up here that I would have been happy with an entry on this candle. This first. So we came back down the five up here on the top right. We came to my red line in an uptrend. And here's the difficulty of this. I mean, these are just moving averages. They're just spaghetti EMAs. You know what I mean? Um, and the tough part is that the yellow and the blue, I look for kind of general direction. You get the yellow blue cross, we're kind of back testing it. It doesn't really mean a whole lot, but it's you get back in the yellow blue
And that's a
zone.
2 minute chart right there?
This right here that I'm looking at is a five.
Five. Okay.
Yeah, so you get down here, we retest the zone, and then we get to the red. And the tough part is that it's kind of like the inverse here because technically, according to the blue yellow, you're kind of looking for a short, um, like like this one back here. This is a 5 minute, same thing. You get the cross, and then if you can start breaking these, then maybe it can continue short up until because it's just a five and the nine EMA. Like it's
Yep.
nothing. It's just, with the moving average is turning. But here, point is, we got back to the my red on an uptrend, uh, right, and then we put in a nice liquidity grabbing bull hammer right off this gigantic candle here. We didn't even come back to the close of it. Um, and technically, that bull hammer closed at 1335.
But look at this is another good example of where I told you that it can catch this support. Remember?
Yes. Yeah.
And then when you combine it with this fat fire candle,
Hmm.
right? So that was a squeeze point. That was a squeeze point right here.
And this is another, this is exactly how I'm going to trail my trades when we're going into structure because here's another example. So you got this test of the 5 minute structures right
Yep.
here.
Yep.
You got the pivot point for like an anchor reference. And then here's that pivot point on the 1 minute, right? And then, so here, this is the 1 minute candle that finally broke into the structure.
Yep.
And that 1 minute candle would have been the perfect trail. Basically, not giving, as soon as you get into the structure, don't give it back.
Yep.
So that's how I'm going to trail. Although this purple line was above the structure. Okay, perfect. Because we didn't really test, this was above the structure. This could have been, what would you think about it, right? If you got this 5 minute candle that comes right down here, it does not quite touch the structure, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you got this giant pumpkin. This is actually this candle right here shows is an example of why I conservatively I don't know if I should, but have been conservatively putting targets at the top of structure.
Uh-huh.
It's because I don't want it to do this. Um, you know what I mean? So I'm just thinking what
When you get
it,
more experience with the structure, you'll figure out how to deal with that.
okay. Sounds good. Because it's
Me,
like here's on the 1 minute.
if it's creating higher lows, like I told you, if it's creating higher lows, then I'm with the bulls, right?
Right.
But if it's coming down like this, and it's the first time it breaks structure, then it could still be with the bears because you still got all these other structures over here to retest,
Right.
right? But if this is a higher low, then I'm with the bulls right here because it's testing it. not only that, you got that moving average, you got that structure. What did I say? When you have a moving average that lines up with structure, it has a stronger support, right? And it lines up with that white dotted line. You got this
Hmm.
big green candle we just talked about. When there's a big green candle, it tells you who's there. And then you get the pop. Oh,
Yep, that
remember,
makes sense.
remember I
Uh,
tell you, dojis are usually the pivot points. Dojis are usually the squeeze levels.
right.
And look
Yeah.
at it squeezed on that doji, and then look at these two dojis. Another fat squeeze.
Hmm. That makes sense. So when we get down to those levels, I should be trailing my stuff more conservatively. Now, I wasn't short on this or anything. Um, there
So,
was a short, I think. Yeah. You got the 1 minute break structure with 12:45. We're making a high here. There was a 1 minute structure break right here.
hmm
Back test the zone, fib this out, fib that out right there. Back test to the 50. That would have been a valid short right there.
yep.
So that's great. Um, yeah,
And then
what I
what?
did do. Oh, go
And
ahead.
then what? What did we just talk about? Small red candles can get easily taken out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it's not one big. Yeah, that makes sense. And these two giant green candles, it came back here and it couldn't even get to the second one really.
Yep.
They're huge, but these tiny red candles because of the bear. I mean, to bring it back to the battle analogies, the bears had such a hard time getting it this far.
Yep. And they're exhausted.
They're exhausted.
They're just exhausted that they just get taken out because we had more buyers.
Cool.
And we start seeing like, oh, the bears are getting exhausted. Bears are getting exhausted. There's still no big red candles. Like this one
Cool.
should have been huge. Should have came down and tagged it, but we couldn't. So the bulls are still in control. And then look, if you look at TTM or MACD, it couldn't even come close to this.
Not yeah. Yep. Not even close. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so then we hit the trade I actually took, which these are great lessons right here. And then the actual one I took was late. Like I said, I would have been happy with and it was late because I just looked over and I was like, oh, that's a trade. I was like, even if it's late. And then I looked down, I was like, well, I'm on my sim account. None of my accounts are linked right now. I'll take it. Just I would have been happy with this 2 minute candle. Getting in, that's still a little chasey considering the volatility. I mean, this is a 100 point 2 minute candle because NQ
Yeah.
is just crazy recently. Um,
You could have got in at the back test of those moving averages right there.
Back test these moving. Oh yeah, yeah. When it wicked down a little
But
bit.
you gotta be quick and be able
Yeah.
to make that identifiable. Because honestly, right here, I would have put a trend line above it right here, like this. But
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I noticed you've been on the doing trend lines more recently. I don't know. Maybe you've been doing it the whole time, but I've seen pictures.
yeah, no,
Um.
they've been working out pretty good. These little
Yeah.
these little trend lines right there. As long as you have 3 wicks contacting, that's a strong level.
Okay. Cool. Um. Yeah. Yeah. And then I remember a while ago. This came back to me today. I was in another meeting. With some other traders as well. And one of them said, and I was explaining how I usually like to go for the close of candle trades. I'm trying to evolve a bit, right? And not only do that, but I like the close of candle trades. So I've got a defined risk on the candle, but I also don't like that because then I'm risking the entire candle and it can just reverse on me anyway at my stop. But and one thing you said that this other person said as well is if I'm waiting for the close of candle, I should be waiting for the candle to break
Yep.
and then keep my risk tight at basically, he said, the close of the candle. And I wanted to see if you aligned with that. Um, Because that 13, 35, 36, 37, 38, 13, 38, that would be this one here. Because that is 1340, pretty sure. And then, so then you got this candle here, 38. Yeah, this one closed at 40. So you got, yeah, because this, what do you think happened on this little bear hammer 1 minute candle? It probably went down first and then went up, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, so then I shouldn't, and this was the close of the 2 minute candle, but there was no need to enter on the close of the 2 minute candle. I could have waited for it to come back down and then break above, and then the trade took no heat.
Hmm.
So, all right, cool. Oh my, there's so many notes, so many notes here, but I'm gonna try to remember all this. It's
Yeah,
scary taking that break trade, but maybe
it
that's
is.
part of what makes it good because it's scary, so people aren't doing it.
Well, it all goes to experience, right? If you have better experience like getting in on that type of trade, what I would do on that big green candle that you had, I would fib it out. I would just fib it out. See if as long as if you go back to that other chart,
This one, right?
this one right there, yeah, that one.
I'll zoom on
Um,
in.
yeah, so I would have fibbed this candle out,
Hmm.
and as long as it held the 50%, you're good to
It
go.
didn't even come close. So do you think you would have just missed this one?
Yeah, I probably would have missed it or got in a break above the 100 to go to the 161 or 261.
Okay, so all the way back test
So yeah,
or
this is the best
break.
trade. This is optimal trade right here, right? 50% of that holds the moving averages, holds the VWAP or your DAV, whatever that purple line is right there.
Yesterday's midpoint, HCR.
So boom, right? Hold that. That's optimal trade, right? Second fib trade is a breakout above the 100. I would had liked to see a shy of the 161 come back down, hit the 100 to go back up to the 161. That's
Yeah.
option B, optimal trade. And the or breakout, pretty much you flip that candle and you get in at the break above the 100. That's option C, the least favorite trade, but
Okay.
it is a trade.
Right. Cool. Awesome. That's keeping that in mind because that break is I didn't like that this white green candle was so gigantic, but it did the same thing here. The reason I was willing to get into it late is because I looked at it right as this one closed, and I had just gotten out of that meeting where that guy talked about that, and I remembered that you said that. Let me actually take a picture. And
Just,
it broke the green candle. You see, I got in right
yep,
above the break of the green, and
yep.
even though my entry was late, I took not a lot of heat. Broke, back tested. Actually, was that a back test? They're 40, close it. I don't even know. I'll have to get it on the 15-second chart and see exactly what happened. But
Look at the two squeezes or three squeezes, right? Look at Doji, squeeze, Doji, squeeze. Oh, there's a
mm,
Doji right here. Look at this Doji. Another
hmm
squeeze. Telling you, pay attention to those Dojis.
yeah, I'm gonna start throwing
Those
more
fl-
lines on my ninja.
those Doji levels. That's where you should see a squeeze, right? So if you get in the trade, you're right here or right here. Look at that Doji level. That's your squeeze point, right? Because if it loses that, it's most likely going to do this. Come back, test the Doji, and then squeeze down. So those are like warning levels, right? We need to get above the Doji, hold above the Doji. And now if we break down below, that's my warning. That's my warning that I should be thinking of maybe getting out.
Hmm.
But if you got diamond hands, you fucking hold your trade, let it breathe,
Right.
fucking squeeze, right? But if you see it like, okay, we get to this level right here, and you see a lower high right here, you might be like, okay, I'm on alert. I'm on alert. Oh, we lost the doji. I might think about getting out.
Right.
And then the last point is the the GP of this big green candle. That's like your three stops. Worse is like you have a cushion and you stop down way here, which is a lot right now. Just just
Yeah.
things that price action could alert you to and warn
hmm
you about, right?
hmm
Not saying to get scared out, bitch out, and fucking close your trade, but usually,
Right.
what did I say? There's usually squeeze points at those dojis. So if you don't see a squeeze, just be aware and be alert that it could go against you, just in
Okay.
case if you're in a trade.
Makes sense.
Just things on price action to help you be like, okay, either I'm gonna be wrong or I'm gonna be a little wrong, or a
Right.
little off.
Right.
But like I said, if you have a cushion, how much of that profit are you willing to give back? If you don't have a cushion, you might want to stop out.
Right. Okay. Let's see what else I got here. This one, I didn't, I was late on taking pictures here. I wanted to look at this one because I knew that the recap on what you said structurally, I knew that was just a pretty good trade, except for the ad with the too tight of a stop. I need to remember that. Don't be adding if I can't take the proper stop. Um, that's a good note. Write that down. And then I knew that the one today was a winner, so I wanted to also bring this one in and just kind of like I'm not even sure like what I think this stuff is just a lesson to stop jumping the gun. I like I this is a 1 minute chart up here. You got the 5 minute
And you
chart.
were
We're
going
clearly on
long?
a downtrend. Yeah, exactly. Like I wanted to include this one so I could, be transparent, get some accountability, get some, I mean, I knew your reaction was going to be this. Why was I going long? Like I didn't what day was this? This was actually this was the fourth. So this was okay, fortunately this was before
The
uh
big dub.
this was before you gave me the structure lesson, actually. This
Oh,
was
oh.
7 a.m. on Friday. So this is from last week. This was before your structure lesson. So I guess here's a little recap of how I traded before your structure lesson. And yeah, this was just bad. And this was on a prop. And it's just like, yeah, I was going long, like, because the structure break is here. It was here and we didn't break it. Then it was here and we didn't break it. And I'm going long, and then I take a paper cut stop, and then I'm going long again, and then I stop again, and then I go long here, and then I'm like, what the heck am I doing? And
Yeah.
get stopped. Like this was one, two, three, four, five, six random longs that I think all in all I was down like $300 just on like one or two micros on whatever, probably more than that actually.
All these were bad right here. All
All of
those were
these were
bad.
terrible.
Even this one, right?
All of these were terrible. It's hit the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, this is like when you're on tilt, you're like, fuck, I know it's gonna go up. Fuck, I
Uh-huh.
know. I was like, fuck. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Exactly. I mean,
But you
seriously.
never got the signal of a structure break to start looking long.
Not a single signal. Nope, nothing. No 1050 cross, no structure break. Even if I'm just looking at my MAs, and structure is better than MAs. Like if you can read structure like a beast, it's better. But I've got no MA cross on the two, none on the five, no 10. I use I think I use the typical stack here. I don't
Yeah.
know if these are public, but I use this on the 1 minute while I'm watching it. And yeah, man, I mean, no structure, no signal at all, but I just kept being like, oh, we're gonna reverse. Nope. And you're right. It's like, oh, dang it. Oh, dang it. And just over and over and over again. So I wanted to include that because I don't want to just come in, I mean, it was a really good last 2 weeks. or last week, and the only bad trades I had were actually crap like this. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So I don't want to come in here acting like I only have winners, only showing winners, because this is the reality of when you don't follow. I mean, this is why that checklist
Yep.
is going to be highly, and structure break is going to be number one on the checklist. Am
Yeah,
I
because
with
it's a
structure?
first signal that could potentially lead to a trend change or a reversal,
Right.
right? And you can be 5, 15 minutes ahead of time, right? If you get wait for that structure, okay, we waited for structure to break. Okay, now we're waiting for a higher low or a lower high,
Hmm.
whatever.
Yep.
If you go down to your 5 minute chart, look at when structure breaks and then the trend change over
Yeah.
here, over here, right? This is
Where
your
are we at?
five.
Oh, this is the five. You're right.
So we
Ah,
get the
yeah,
structure
structure
break
break.
and then look, it starts smoothly going back up.
Yep.
Where
And
you
I
were trying
remember
to get
watching
in, you're
this.
like,
Yeah, right. And then I took so many paper cuts. I saw this happen. I saw my EMA flips, but then I was scared because I was
and
so
that's what I was about to
exhausted.
say. I bet you were scared over here because you took so many reds over here. You're like, fuck, I don't trust
Exactly
it.
right. Exactly. And I see that a lot. I see that a lot. That is a lot of people's biggest weakness. I know from just it's just true. I mean, a lot of people they want to buy the low, they want to buy the knife, and then when it comes time, it's like now, now, perhaps the worst case that I've gotten, like the worst case scenario, the really brutal tilt is when you try to long over and over again, and then you finally give up, and now you're trying to short against
Yeah.
structure.
Yep.
That's the worst. That
Yeah,
makes me want to
that's when
slam
you're
my
on
head into
full
a
tilt
wall.
right there. That's called full tilt.
Yeah, bro. That is the brutal full tilt. Um, so yeah, I
Uh,
mean this right here just bad and keeping in mind first thing on the check. Oh, but also a question. Did this 1 minute leg break? Would you consider
yeah,
this doji structure?
yeah,
Because it's hard to tell exactly. I would almost think this is structure or this is structure.
it is.
But once this dumped, would you consider breaking this a
Yeah.
structure break?
And I know you're like, what the fuck? But yeah,
Yeah, this is advanced. I
that's
understand
like a 4 out of 10 structure, right? Where
four out of 10. Okay.
a better defined structure is 8 out of 10. Like this is a good structure right here, right? This right here. Nice defined structure,
Ah, yeah,
right? So this right here is good, right? Once
right.
we break that, then we know it's a real good signal. This could be a scam structure, but it is structure. It is just like a speed bump. And look at what happens. It's a little speed bump because it created this little red candle right here, right? But then breaking this is better structure. Breaking this is the best structure or a structure like this, where it actually has a swing high or a swing low. I would say like this structure right here is a
Yeah.
swing low, right? So if we would have broke that right there, then it probably would have continued down.
Mm. Yeah, so yeah, that makes sense. So 4 out of 10 structure. If I look over here, what time? This was 6:50. If I go to 6:50 here, yeah, you can see this. This was probably also 4 out of 10 structure here, and it held that. It didn't break that. So I know I see it kinda. I know it's advanced, and
Yeah.
you're pointing that out. And maybe that exemplifies why this took so long to get going. I don't
Yep.
know. If I fib this out, I know this is at the 50%.
Yep.
So even though it's 4 out of 10 structure, I'll be on watch for that. I mean, it's easy. It's advanced, but it's easy enough because it's two big full body reds separated by
Yep.
a doji. Even if it wasn't it, if there was no doji here,
Switch
would you?
that chart up. Do me a favor. I
What's
wonder
that?
if there's structure over here somewhere. No, like, can
Oh,
you?
I can't.
Oh,
I
it's
can
a
go
picture,
back.
huh? No, you're
Yeah,
good.
this
You're good.
was for you don't want to go in trading view. Just keep
No,
moving
because a
forward.
lot of the
All right.
time, oh,
I
I
got
don't
the
know how
five
long
minute
it's gonna
here.
take you, but a lot of the
Um,
time that structure. was previous structure.
Fourth. Yeah.
Like, see, it looks like it might have been right here because that structure was like right here. I don't know. I could be off.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes sense. I mean, if this was, I'll take a look real quick. If this was 4-4, it should be right there. If it was 4-4 at 7 in the morning. But
I wish you
because
could just type in a date, type
I
in a
think you
date
can. I think you
or a
can. I'm
time in
just a
a
little
date.
slow.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even available.
Uh Here it is actually. Yeah, 4-4. Yo, what just happened here? Oh, whatever, man. Oh, I know what happened. I hit my Alt R button. Because I kind of want to see this too, because I
Yeah,
think that I think the bad examples are the ones you learn from the most.
yeah, definitely.
So
And the red traits.
yeah, exactly. That's why I really so this was at 7 in the morning. I started taking my bad longs. All right,
So
7 in
right,
the
where's
morning,
that
4
fucker?
4. So right here, I started taking my bad longs. So here is this
It
one
looks
minute
like right
structure.
there, right there. Right.
And, and I'll go ahead and
Draw a line right
uh,
here.
I'll hide these MAs because these are
Draw,
not.
draw a
Draw a
line
line right here.
on that doji right here, because that's where that's
Okay.
at right there.
Oh, right. That is that 4 out of 10 structure. That's
Yeah,
that right there. Yep.
yeah. So now go to the left to see if there was any structure there.
There, so if I understand, I would drag it from thinking I would think that, and then I would think this.
Yeah.
Right. And then we broke that. So then now this was way early pre-market, but then no, and this is a weird fib. Where's my classic colors? All right, that's looking good. Um, so this would be like kind of a failed mini structure break, I guess. Um, but
What do you
then
mean?
so because would you if we were here, the structure was here,
Yep.
and then would you at this point in time, would you move, so my structure line is here, would you move the structure line to here?
No, I always have it at the bodies right here where they
Body.
meet.
Really? Okay, so maybe I need to rethink because I've been looking at wicks.
Well, the break is the wick, right? But that is the support resistance, is the bodies.
Okay, that works for me because I like bodies better
Know what I'm
than
saying?
wicks. Yeah.
So it can catch this, but then I'm looking at the 50% of that, and then if it gets taken out, then that structure is taken out.
Okay. So, oh
So
wow,
that's
would you
not,
look at that right to the 50% of the wick?
yeah,
Semper. What are you on? I mean, that's crazy. That's like exactly to the 50% of the wick.
that's why I'm telling you, pay attention to the 50% of the wick because that's going to tell you if it's going to squeeze up or create a lower high. And look at that's a good example right there where it didn't break above the 50% and it created a lower high. And not only that, but it already had break in sequence or it kept in sequence, right? Lower low, lower high.
Yeah.
And it was already in sequence, lower high, lower low, high, lower, right? Lower high, lower low, lower high.
All right, so we're looking at it in hindsight. What if we're watching here and what I do is I move it to here to the 50% of this wick, thinking about the body,
Yep,
and I move it to here, and then I'm thinking this is a structure break. All right,
it
would
is.
I so it is. All right, now if I'm doing this right, I'd fib it out like this, right?
Yep,
I'd go like this, right? And then perhaps I could put a fishing order at the 50, in which case this would just be
You
a
would have
little
to be
loss.
weird. You would have to, I was about to say before you moved it, you would have to be wary because we're in a downtrend and you're fibbing out. This would feel a lot safer if it was creating a base, right? Boom,
Right.
boom, and then it creates a higher low. Now that would feel a little bit more comfortable. Right here, you're still catching a knife because it never created a base down here,
Hmm. Okay.
right? And then even then, you got to be careful because what does the market always want to do? It always wants to trap.
Scam.
Yeah, scam, right? So how is it scam? A fresh low, right? So then you have it fibbed out, but two, I always used to say this before. I would always want at least a base of two, right? Two hits
Okay.
to create a base. You want to create a base because it no longer has steam to continue going down. It's getting exhausted, so the bulls are starting to come in. It's creating a base, right? But market still likes to trap people. And how does it do that? In order for it to have more steam to go strength to go up, it needs a trap. And it's gonna trap the bears, create a fresh low, and then squeeze up.
Okay. That makes sense. So this wary trade, a C, not a good trade.
You
Not
could take
definitely
it
not an
and it
A.
could work out, but most of the time it won't work out because there's no base. Now, yeah,
Okay.
it could be a V
Oh.
reversal, but if it's a V reversal, right, you would want to have this taken out, come back down, and then get
Hmm.
in to go long.
Yeah. Now, is there anything to be said for the fact that this candle, even though, so I was thinking that this is a structure, then this is a structure. Is there anything to be said for the fact that this is a green candle? Or not really? It's still structure regardless of the color.
Yeah, it's still structure. It's
Okay.
not the best because it's like you would consider this whole thing structure.
Yeah. So I'll just drop 2 lines, especially on the 1 minute chart.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too antsy on the one
because
minute
look,
chart.
you got from that structure, right? And then this structure rejected it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's
Sure
why I
did.
told you got to look for 50% of that wick.
Yeah.
And if it gets above that, then you're looking for it to break above. And then if it gets above that, it's taken out or it might squeeze back up. If it does
Uh-huh.
that, then you want to see this.
Yeah. And like you're saying, you're like you can take it, be wary, and it wouldn't have been the worst trade if you go for the 50%, the doji on the 50%, and then just have it stop like right in the pocket. I wouldn't give it this far down, but like I guess sure, but really ideally don't even take these, but um when we make mistakes, at least have them reined in.
Yep.
So yeah, and then this was
See
kind of also
if
like a
you would
little
have
fade
waited
down.
for that second base or something, you would have saved yourself. You're like, okay, I know this is still catching a knife. Um let me wait for a base to be created. Because you don't want to get
Right.
caught in that knife and then it fucking just flushes another time.
Yeah. Which is what I did. Luckily, though, I'm at least not, I mean, not luckily, I chose to do it, but at least my stops were mostly paper cuts. Which kind of signify that needs to be a signal. You know what I mean? If I'm taking a bunch of paper cuts, it's like I don't believe in this at all. I don't
Yeah.
believe in it at all. So here's
That
new
or just
structure.
shut it down or or just take a 15-minute walk. You want
Right.
to be able to reset because if you can't reset, you're gonna get on tilt. You don't
Right.
want to be on tilt because you're going to fucking keep taking bad trades and you're gonna blow up your account.
Hmm. I'm here. You're absolutely right about that. And then here, I've been dragging the structure down. And then even if I miss this advanced structure,
Yep,
that was our 4 out of 10 advanced structure. Even if I miss the advanced structure, and I've got my structure here as
yep,
as a defined lower high, all right, then we break it. Actually,
Yep.
I could call this the neck structure if I was kind of thinking that, you know. And then we break it, and then I start fibbing out that leg. And let's see
Yep.
what happens. Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Holds the 50%, doesn't even touch the 328, and then pumps to the
Yep.
100, back test to the pocket, pumps, back test the pocket, and it's probably, oh, okay, back test the pocket live. Ah, whatever. So shied the 161.
Yep.
But that's okay. We don't need to get the 161 exactly when it's 250 points away.
Exactly. And that's another thing you got to take into context, right? Because you got to start figuring out the characteristics,
Yeah,
right? We went from 20 to 60 point, 100, not even 100. 100 was not rare, but it happened like once or twice, and now, and then once Trump came into office, okay, 200 point days was normal. And now it's like 500, 600 points a day for like the last week or two. Is it
right,
realistic? How realistic is it for me to hit 250 points? Right now, it's pretty realistic.
right.
But in a month or two, it's probably going to be non-existent.
Hmm.
Where a 200 point move comes once a week.
Right.
So those are characteristics that you guys have to pay attention to. That's another thing you guys got to start developing, right? Why does Brandon always say that ES respects levels more than NQ? Because he knows the characteristics of both of them.
Right.
And knowing the characteristics of them is going to benefit you on your entries and your targets. If you know that ES or NQ usually shies the first tag or usually tags and it rejects really hard. If it hits your levels hard or and it bounces off those levels, that's
Hmm.
what you guys got to start identifying. Oh, I noticed that ES hits the levels and it bounces. I know that NQ slips the levels and then it bounces.
Right. The slip.
Yeah, and knowing that is going to benefit you, like I said, on your entries and your targets and your stop losses, right?
Hmm. Okay.
But notice you get the break, then you can fib, and then you then you wait for your pullback, and then you get it.
Exactly, and that was a perfect pullback. I mean, right to the structure. Here's one. If I'm really being aggressive on the 1 minute, I could call this structure. I could fib this one out, and that's what I'll do if I'm ever really itchy to catch a structure break. I'll put an entry at the 50 and a stop at the pocket, at the other end of the pocket. I'm not even gonna let it go all the way here
Yeah,
to the 23. I'm just gonna put a stop at the pocket. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm not gonna. I need to stop. I mean, like I said, this was before your structure lesson.
yeah,
So it's just kind of like a self reminder. But just keeping that in mind, I'm gonna note that down. Like if I'm going for a risky one, I need to at least wait for the 50 and take a paper cut stop.
yep,
So because we're gonna make mistakes, so I'm gonna at least rein it in with a paper cut stop and give it like one chance.
yep,
Ideally, I won't do it at all. But
yeah. Try
kind of
not
like,
to.
yeah, it's a lesson it's a lesson I learned in a meditation book. It's basically like if you can't if you're having a tough time controlling your thoughts, at least try to keep them centered to the body.
Yeah.
So
Master your thoughts.
yeah, master your
Master
thoughts,
your
but like
thoughts. Master your reality.
that's true. That's so true. But yeah, so if I'm gonna, but ideally won't do it at all either way. But yeah, so that's that one. Ultimately, kept going on a downtrend. Was too scared to get in on the trend because I was catching the knife. So need to remember that one. I mean, I coincidentally actually did have the long, but I gave it up, and then I got this here, and then gave it up again. Before the win that would have to the 100 EMA would have ultimately probably taken back all the losses into a flat. So
And then look at
remember
right
that
there
one?
where you got stopped out. Look at the EMA above. Like the 100 EMA was already flattening out.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Just
Great
something to
strong
be aware
premium
of.
at the 10
Just
loop.
especially if you're using any moving average. If the moving average above is flat, it might be a target.
Okay.
It might be a target if it's in trend, right? If it's creating higher lows and it's flat above, like okay, I'm waiting for the next dip to get in long.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, bro,
Um,
you're getting more consistent. I mean, how many trades did you take this week, and how many green versus red?
oh dang, I
Besides,
need to record that. I'll be recording that for I record that for next week because I did not record that diligently in this past week.
cool, no worries.
Um,
But just take your time because I want you to be able to track that so we can be like, okay, you're ready to scale up. You fucking had one red trade or one red day in the last 2 weeks. It's time for you to scale up.
Sounds good. Here's what I'm doing is that I'm on a three lot. I'm on a three lot on, I'll do a maximum of three. I've been doing
Yep,
two and four, so I'll do a three lot here. And then record all my trades for this week, screenshots, pictures, and I'll record how many were green and red. So
yep.
that's what we can
How
hit
many were
on.
green and red, and then how many days were green and red?
Absolutely. And
Because you
my
could
goal,
have, right, you
yeah,
can have 4 out of 20 red, but you only had one red day. And you're like,
right.
okay, it's still good enough to scale up. Because you remember, you're gonna have a cushion. So you might be out of that trail stop for the prop firms, above the threshold. So you might have more than 2,500 and you
Right.
might be scaling up so you won't have that trail down. And remember, this
That's good.
system was based on live cash account. So I went from
Right.
600 to like 900 in 2 weeks. And you're like, okay, now I got 300 house money. Let me scale up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so the prop firms I use are non they I so far I only use guys that generally put you into the live market, so that's actually doable.
Yeah,
So like, and I don't really plan on taking a big payout until I have a little bit of cushion. So what I think this Blue Sky, once that's live, it's a $2,500 static drawdown. Pretty good because the account only costs $200, so you get 10 times your money in drawdown.
yeah.
Um, and then yeah, so that will build. It is like having a personal $2,000 drawdown account. So that sounds good. I'll go three, record how many, and then can start scaling up as I build a cushion in the account.
Yep.
Cool. It sounds good.
Cool, me. Is that all you had?
I got some more, but I do should probably wrap it up.
Yep.
Get some stuff done. I'll put the rest in the chat actually and kind of label them up. They're Yeah, I gotta also be diligent about the pictures because a lot of these pictures were late. I took a short here that didn't have a whole lot of range, based on like this 5 minute structure or two. No one is like, okay, took what? Yeah, then a long here off of my 2 minute red
So that's good
line.
because you would have, and this is something with the structure. This is perfect screenshot that I'm glad you shared.
But yeah,
Because look, this broke the last structure, right?
yeah.
And then it created a lower high.
Mhm.
And this is what I mean, where you can get faked out sometimes with the structure, especially when it's like in this area right here. There's a big red candle. What I would have done is fibbed out that big red candle. I think it's
Fibbed
red,
out.
yeah.
Fibbed out this one.
Or that gap. What is that, a gap?
This is a gap. This was a part of the reason. This was a 400 point gap or something. It wasn't a
Uh-huh.
400 point gap. This is about 270 to about this is about I'm sorry, not a this is about a 75 point gap. And And yeah, I was shorting because this we opened and then immediately like wicked to kind of fill it, and then we
Yeah.
got back up to the wick, so it was shorting. But I don't remember why I closed right here conservatively. I don't exactly remember why, but looking at the screenshot, I mean, it's in hindsight. We already tagged the gap, so now we can
Yeah.
fill.
Yep. I
So
was
I
about
did
to say
go
that we had
long.
the first tag right here.
Yeah.
So the second tag, you should have been wary because this is a new day
Uh-huh.
and we got higher low.
Right. Oh, this is actually a loss. Actually, I closed my short here and then I tried to short again here. And then it filled the gap and I stopped out.
Mm.
So this was a mistake here.
Yeah.
And I didn't have structure with me or anything. Need to stop doing that. Number one on the checklist for sure.
Yep.
That's no doubt about it. Number
That
one on
would
the
have saved you
checklist is
from your
structure.
short.
Absolutely. It would have saved me. There was no structure break at all. If I look down at the 1 minute here, I mean, you could, I guess, maybe if this is structure, we tapped it. You know what I mean? But this is
Yeah.
like nothing.
You don't
This
want
is,
to tap it. You want to take it out.
yes. Yep. Don't tap the structure. Take that S out.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, cool. Good week. Remember, track your greens and your reds. So next week we can scale you up, or the following week or two. And just keep tracking your progress. Good trades. Thanks for sharing. See you
Thank
guys
you.
next week.